Hi, I'm Autumn Hahn, licensed mental health counselor at Clear Mind Group. This is one in a fun series that I've been working on about therapy in media. So I was watching the TV show Call Me Kat with Mayim Bialik, and it is a sitcom. So I don't take these too seriously, and you shouldn't either. But they had an episode called Therapy. It's season 1, episode 4. Spoilers. So, Kat and her mom go to therapy because they have some communication things to work out. And this is an excellent reason to go to therapy, by the way. They go to therapy and they end up um, being very mean to the therapist. And they say that he has starfish fingers because his fingers are very wide at the base and they taper to a point at the end. And then they show a close up of the actor's hand, and he had totally normal hands, in my opinion. But they said that he had starfish fingers, and I was like, how rude, right? So at the end of the episode, the therapist says that he will not be rescheduling them because therapy has to be a good fit for both the client and the therapist, and that they said he had starfish fingers and they were mean to him. So, look, this is a sitcom. I don't take this too seriously, but it's true. Therapy does have to be a good fit for both the client and the therapist. And the client, being Kat and her mom in this particular episode, did do a good job of having a session, and they did get something done. And they did work something out, which is fantastic, especially for a first session. I was going to say a first episode, but that's what I meant. So, it is okay for a therapist and client to agree not to work together anymore, but a therapist cannot just say they're not going to work with you because you said something mean to them. So, there is a code of ethics that says when we are allowed to refer a client out, and it is not as often as you might think. In fact, it is only when our ethics are violated or they are outside of our scope. So, for instance, if a client's primary diagnosis is eating disorders, that is something I'm not very well trained to work in. I have some training in eating disorders, but it is not my specialty and it is not something I know a ton about. I only know just a little bit about it. So if it's another diagnosis of a client that I have, then I will keep working with them. But for the most part, I will refer that client out to a specialist in eating disorders. So, um, eating disorders are outside of my scope. So for this particular therapist in the TV show, again, it's a show. I'm not taking it too seriously. In this episode, that therapist really shouldn't have referred the client out because it's not outside of his scope, and there was no reason for him to do that except that they were a little bit mean. And he could have requested an apology, which I think he did, and I think they did apologize, or at least I think Kat apologized. I don't think her mom apologizes on the show for anything ever, but that's the character. So, if you notice your therapist has starfish hands, don't comment on that. That's not cool. Be nice. They're a human being, and should that therapist have referred them out? No. They were there for a communication issue, and that's what that therapist treats, and that therapist should have kept them based on those criteria. So, so that's what there was to say about this. Thanks.